Welcome back tonight. I pray that you've had a great day. I pray that from Sunday to today it has been just a good week. It's been a meaningful one. It's been one shared with others. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about where we started on Sunday. Sunday, the title of the message was The Powerful Position of Presence. I don't know about you, but many hard things or many crazy, chaotic things that we go through in life, a lot of times it makes it better if we know that there is somebody that shares it with us. I remember just today I was at Chick-fil-A this morning, and today was a day that was filled with a new hire. And whenever we have a new hire, there's always training required. But for me and for the others in what we call the back of the house, sort of getting that food out fresh and fast, new hire also means that the person is learning. The person is slower, right? So the people around them have to make sure that they are caught up and that everything is caught up. So new hire days can be hard. But one thing that I told this new hire today, and one thing that was told to me is, no matter how crazy it gets, no matter how overwhelming it can feel, no matter how behind you may get, there are always others around you that when you call out for help, will help you. We're all in this together. The crazy sometimes is done together. But I want to ask you, in your life, has there ever been somebody who was simply present? Has there ever been a moment in your life where you remember the people who just simply sat with you? Maybe it was in loss, maybe it was in a transition in life. Maybe it was something else, but you remember those who were consistently present, those who were consistently there. And I want to ask you one more thing. What did that mean to you? Was it helpful for you? What were the things about that person just sitting with you and being present that were meaningful? I want to suggest to you that presence is something, one, that is meaningful for all of us, but two, reminds us of the very nature of our God. You see, this past Sunday, we opened up to a new book in the book of Ruth, and the title of the whole series is From Tragedy to Testimony. And one thing that I want to just share with you at the front, if it wasn't sort of communicated fully on Sunday, there is no tragedy or trial that you're going through right now that cannot, by the grace of God, end in a testimony. There is no thing in your life that you are walking through that is irredeemable in the eyes and the goodness and the grace of God. But Ruth, this past Sunday, we really started with the front of the name for that message, tragedy. And really what we see going on in Ruth is nothing good was going on. But we see something very powerful in the end, and we'll get there. But I just want to kind of go over the passage of Scripture together to remind us, to refresh us, for those who weren't there and those who were, where we were traveling through and then where we're going. It says, in the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judah. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. As we said on Sunday, this passage very literally starts with death. It starts first with famine, making these people that were from Bethlehem move to Moab, which we talked about the sort of context of Moab, the Moabites, the people of God's relation with them, and how this is just a strange setting up of the story in the first place. But famine led to this move, and then led to the death of the husband of Naomi. But Naomi had her 2 sons, right? They were still with her in Moab. These took Moabite wives, and we talked about why that was strange or different. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And I just want to share this with you because we didn't talk about this on Sunday, as it was not fitting on Sunday. I was talking to somebody before service, as we always do, just sharing that time, catching up and talking with one another. But I was sharing about Orpah, and somebody was, I heard this from somebody not long ago, but if you ever have seen the talk show, or now I guess it's a whole TV network, Oprah always says that her mom named her, or wanted to name her, after this character in Scripture. But when they printed out the birth certificate, they mixed the placement of the R. So here's a little bit of extra knowledge tonight that you didn't maybe bargain for. Oprah was supposed to be named after Orpah, one of the Moabite women that married the son of Naomi. So you can kind of tell other people that if you are talking about Ruth with your friends, as I hope you are, your family. Maybe if your kids are getting lost in the story as you're trying to unpack the truth from Sunday, just throw in that detail, and maybe they'll lock back in. But Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. They lived there about 10 years. And both Mahlon and Chilion died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Remember, I said this starts from bad to worse to even worse. They're in this place that is not theirs in Moab. They went there because famine struck the land. And now we see at the end of verse 5, there is not only one that is widowed in Naomi. Now these 2 Moabite women are widowed as well. So this passage of Scripture that God is using starts with 3 widows in 1 famine. How in the world can God work in this? This is tragedy, no doubt. But verse 6 says, "Then she arose with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the fields of Moab that the Lord had visited his people and given them food." God did not turn his back indefinitely on his people. And I want to share that with you as well. As we said on Sunday, if there is ever a time, a season in your life where you feel like that God is pruning your life as he does, or maybe there's a season in your life where you feel like God isn't as near to you as he has been in the past, here is the truth. God does not forsake his people. You see, it says that while they were in Moab, they heard that God's goodness, that God's favor returned to the land that was struck by famine. So they start their journey back. Naomi with her 2 daughters-in-law. For she had heard that the Lord visited his people. And this is a theme that I want to suggest to you is interwoven throughout the entire book of Ruth, but also interwoven in the midst of God's people in general. It said there was a time that famine struck. There was a time that the Lord was dealing with his people. There was a time that his people did without because of the mishandling of this life that God had given him. This is in the midst of that, as they're in Moab, God visits again with his people, and as a result of this visiting, food comes back to the land, so they go back where the bread is. So she set out from the place where she was with her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And remember, we said this on Sunday, but this land that they're going back to is a land that Naomi and Orpah are going to for the first time. This is not their land. They are simply accompanying Naomi. This is a return to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go, return each of you to her mother's house." Naomi again is pointing this out. This is not your land. This is not where your family is. This is not where you have been living. Go and return. In essence, there's nothing more that I can provide for you. It's better that you return to your family. It's better that you return to your homeland. So she said to them, "Go return each of you to the mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me." She's saying, you have lost your husbands, my sons. You've dealt with that, and you've dealt graciously with me. Like, your debt to me is over. You have been gracious to me, and let the Lord be gracious to you in return. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." Here's that reference again. These are not Ruth and Orpah's people, but they're journeying with Naomi in her time of loss and in her return to her home. It says, "No, we'll return with you to your people. We're not going to leave you, Naomi." But Naomi is insisting at this point. Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me?" And we're about to find out and sort of re-highlight why Naomi is insisting that her ex-daughter-in-laws, the wives of her deceased kids, we're going to find out why she's insisting that they leave her. And make no mistake, she is very much telling them not to leave the land, not to just go back to their home, not to just leave behind what was. She is very literally telling them to leave her. Because in Naomi's mind, there is something definitely wrong with her life. And specifically, there is something definitely wrong with how God is acting or not acting in her life. And we're about to see that again. She says, turn back, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. There it is again. This provision. She's saying, I don't have anything to give you. My sons are deceased and I have no husband. If I should say I have hope, even if I should have a husband this night and should bear sons. Here, I don't have sons, I don't have a husband. Even if I had a husband now and we had kids tonight, still be too long for you guys to wait. I have nothing to give you. This is Naomi's continual plea to them. Leave, go off to better things. I have nothing more that I can offer as I did before. Would you therefore wait till they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, for it is exceedingly bitter to me for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone against me. Here it is. Here is Naomi's ultimate plea. Here is Naomi's ultimate situation that she feels in life. God has forsaken me, and if you stay, he will forsake you. God has dealt harshly with me and still is, and if you stay, he will deal harshly with you, so leave. This is where Naomi is. God has taken my husband, God has taken my sons, and if you stay, God will take your life too. God will deal harshly with you too. God has left me. Therefore, there is nothing I can give you. Maybe you've been there in life. Maybe you're there now. Maybe you've gotten to the point, at some point, where you feel like God has forsaken you. Maybe you feel like God has never been near to you in the first place. The story, the passage is about to change. We're going to see two reactions to Naomi's plea here. In both of these daughter-in-laws, she says, then they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Here it is. This is the moment that I wanted to get to tonight, because this is very much to the very heart of God and how he deals with his people. Naomi is simply saying to these daughters-in-law, I have nothing to give you. Why would you stay with me? You have no reason. God has left me. Everybody else has left me. Why stay? And we have one daughter-in-law who reacts almost as if you think she would, or thinks she would be in reason to. She leaves. She kisses Naomi and she leaves. She goes back to her home, all these things. But even though Naomi has nothing she can give, she has nothing more she can provide for Ruth's life, Ruth clings to her. Ruth doesn't just stay. Ruth clings to a grieving Naomi, a Naomi who is at loss in every possible way. And here's where I want to get to for us. God does the same thing with us. We have nothing to give. We had nothing to give. But he stays, he visits, he sits. God Emmanuel, God with us. So here's my encouragement to you tonight. If you feel forsaken, if you simply feel like God has not been near in your life for some time, if you feel that maybe you're in the camp where you say, man, I don't even know if I believe that there is a God. Because if there is, man, he must not like me because my life has not panned out. My life has been bad news after bad news after bad news. Like, if there is a God, he must be against me where Naomi is. Here's my promise to you. God sits with us. God is near when you call out to him. It says that those who seek him will find him if they seek him with all their heart. As we saw for Bethlehem, the town that was struck by famine, God had pulled back for a little bit, but then he visited again. You see, here's the thing. God doesn't turn his back on me. God doesn't turn his back on you. Though you have nothing to offer, God stays. And we can cling to him. We can trust him. And even though this passage that we walk through on Sunday, and we will go through this story in the coming weeks. We'll take a pause this Sunday, but in the coming weeks we will come back to exactly how God is showing us his nature through this tragedy turned testimony in Ruth. God bless y'all. Pray that was helpful. And as we said on Sunday, maybe there is a person, just in a very physical way, very practical way, that needs somebody to be present with them. Here's my encouragement to you. If you have somebody on your heart, your mind, that's true of, you may be the vessel that God will use simply by being present. That points to his provision in their life. God bless y'all. I love y'all. I'll see you again real soon.